This video is a demonstration of using JackTrip as a multi-threaded server for an audio conference node. So you only have to use one IP address and one port for all the clients. We have 5 clients already hooked up as a demonstration of this. We have 5 JackTrip clients. We've changed their names to each person's name, theoretically. And we're using some EQ limiting. We're using a mixer so we can adjust the volumes of every person. And we'll kind of demonstrate this now on, here's Dan.
This evolved too.
Yeah, that's the thing about tech is it's just as hard of a question to answer. Like, am I still covering tech in 10 years or is it this totally other world?
And Ron.
Studio, we're live, we're on the air, and I apologize for any discombobulation because we're still, hooking it all up. I think we've got it down pretty well.
And Jim.
By the way, some coaches are pretty well disliked, but they're good coaches too. But I like this combination much better.
And Bob.
It's been a few years. When we're adjusting that tuning box, are we? Maybe it depends on the circuit, but are we typically tuning?
And Ted.
Or something like that. But I'm not getting the Jones. I'm not just. Right. It's not that doing it for me.
And the way they connect to this laptop's JackTrip MultiThreaded server, we'll go over that. And this is the command line structure for a client. The capital C is required for the multi-threaded server. And that's fairly simple as far as command line, just the IP address. And then the dash and 1, since we're only going to use one audio channel. That limits the bandwidth too. So here's another one just like it. Again, just the IP address, the capital C, and the dash and 1, since we're using just mono, we're not using stereo audio. So that's the client side. And over here, if I can find it, and we did this a few times this morning, trying to get this set up. It's just JackTrip dash capital S. Here it is right there. And then it just sits there waiting until everybody connects. And once you connect, then you can rewire everything. So to get everybody speaking to everybody else, you're going to do this on the mixing board here. This is Jack Router on a Linux Ubuntu 16.04. And here's my microphone and a gate going to the recording software, the peak reading meter, and my sound card so I can monitor the audio. So we're taking the audio from Dan, going through here. Let me demonstrate why we're using the EQ.
16. Marquez Brownlee. This episode of Triangulation is brought to you by Epson's new EcoTank printers. With Epson's line of SuperTank all-in-one printers, you can print thousands of documents without running out of ink. EcoTank is loaded and ready to print when you are.
I'll take the EQ in and out now.
Hello and welcome to Triangulation. I'm Jason Howell, obviously not Leo Laporte. Leo Laporte is still gallivanting around the world.
So you can adjust that. This is just an example. So everybody's voice is different, so you can EQ it on your side. And we also have a way to increase a little bit of gain at the same time, limiting it, everything to -6 dB right here. There's a fast lookahead limiter. This works pretty well. This is a pretty useful program called a Jammin'. So it gives you multiband compressor, spectrum EQ, 30-band EQ, and a fast lookahead limiter. And if the voices are high or low on their end, you can make some adjustments up to a certain point on your end. So that may simplify some things and speed things up. So everybody has one of these connected to the instances of JackTrip. And they're all going in to each individual channel. And you can adjust the volumes accordingly. And I'll bring them all in so you can hear that they're all able to play at the same time.
Kind of pointing out the obvious. Yeah, and I asked the show's kind of producers, people who've been involved with triangulation for the last little while to confirm this. And Tony Wang here at Twit did confirm that you are the...
So the only question now, of course, you have to route everything so everybody gets a mix minus. And if I was going to use the microphone as the host, of course you'd take your output and take it to the input of Dan, Ron, Jim, Bob, and Ted. And now what we're going to do is take everybody else's audio and mix minus it. So we have Dan, we want it to go to Ron, Jim, Bob, and Ted. So we're going to take Dan out. I'm going to take my microphone off of these since it's coming out of a few speakers in the house here. So this is all internal on the LAN to set this up. So we want Dan's voice to be heard by Ron, Jim, Bob, and Ted. So you take Dan, go to Ron, Dan to Jim, Dan to Bob, Dan to Ted. So now when Dan talks, everybody else hears him, but Dan doesn't hear his own voice coming back towards him. So he would get an echo. So he would locally monitor his own voice if he wanted to. And then you do the same thing for Ron. So you want Ron to go to Dan. Ron, not to Ron, but to the next tier, to Jim, to Bob, and to Ted, and so forth. So that's all you have to do. Once you get that set up, you're good to go. And the bandwidth, if I can find it here, and here's a nice bandwidth. So with everybody running, we're at 500K on upload and download. So you have to have a little bit of bandwidth. There is a way to decrease the bandwidth requirements by going to 8 bits, but this is default at 16 bits. But JackTrip is fairly convenient, and it's a fairly user-friendly compared to some as far as the command line structure and what you have to do to get it running. So for a JackTrip server, a multi-threaded server, using the capital JackTrip-S, capital S that is, and then everybody uses a capital C to connect. Then you're the only one that has to connect everybody since you're the server. In the first instance, so I have 5 other people coming in, and JackTrip will incrementally number these, and you can change the names by renaming. This is KXstudio's Jack Connection Bay Katia. Thank you for watching.